Okay, back here in the words of Rabbi Tatz, he's going to finish off Parak Aleph, the first chapter of Bechira, free will today, and he says that there is one very important nakuda, one important aspect that a person has inside of them that they have to be aware of, which is really going to be the trigger for all of one's free will. And that, he writes, is haratzain, something that is called ratzain, which is the inner will and the inner desire that a person has for something. That is going to be pretty much the driving force behind, when a person is aware of it, that will be the driving force behind the decisions that they make. Kishorish haseichel hamuda hamischabi Makor HaNistar, says Rav Tatz over here that ratzain, this will, and we described this a little bit before, it is the root of the conscious mind that connects with its hidden source. So meaning that there's a conscious mind, and there's all these things that you're not so much aware of, and the ratzon, this will that a person has, you have to get down to where it's coming from or where you're coming from, so you should know how to make a decision. A person could either use the inner will, the inner drive that he has, to completely enlighten himself and see the spiritual world and the realm around him, if he so desires, which means that when you get stuck in a situation of what's right and what's wrong, if the desire that you have inside of you, you're in tune with it, in touch with it, and it's coming from a good place, you'll be able to make the right decision. Or you could just remain in the state that you are, which means that if the ratzon, if the will inside of you is stagnant, or it's weak, or you're not really in touch with what that will is, so then you remain, it just, your vision, the clarity, the light of the right choice over the wrong choice remains somewhat opaque, and it's like outside your realm of the decision-making process. Ma'avak haratzon achafshihu hama'avak bein shnei asuchanim ha'peniyim shel neshama v'hanefesh. Says Rav Tatz over here that this battle of free will is really, as we pointed out, it's the battle of these two agents that are going on inside of you, and that is the neshama and the nefesh. That is the soul and the nefesh, the lower part of the soul, which is always connected to your body. Whatever side is victorious is what defines the person that you are. So we pointed out in the last class, there's nefesh, ruach, start from the top, there's neshama, there's ruach, and there's nefesh. The neshama is the loftiest part of your soul. That's where all of your spiritual intent and all of the holiness and the sanctity comes from. There's ruach, which is like, we'll call it this cavernous spirit area that a person has, which brings the desires of the soul down here towards the body. But then when you get to the body has what's called the nefesh, which is like the lowest extremity of your soul inside of you. Animals also have a nefesh. They don't have a neshama. They don't have the high level soul, but they have a nefesh. They have the animalistic soul. So the nefesh is the lowest part of the soul, and that's what's enmeshed inside of the body. So the neshama and the nefesh are in a constant battle. And the neshama is always trying to pull the body up towards Hashem, and the nefesh is always trying to pull the neshama, or pull the body down towards the world.
Is the neshama outside the body?
So the way that it's brought down is that it's like it hovers around the brain area. So the ultimate neshama is really outside. It's way far beyond our body. That's what we're saying over here. The only piece of soul that's inside of us really is the nefesh, but we're still connected to the neshama, and therefore, the neshama it's impaired. The neshama is spiritually impaired. in that it doesn't have the same access to the body the way that the nefesh has the access to the body. It's much more likely that the body is going to follow the whims of the nefesh than that it's going to follow the whims of the neshama, because the neshama is so much beyond where the body is. But herein lies, he says, the challenge of Bechira, free will. Meaning, am I going to just sink in to the body and sink into the nefesh, to that lower part of the soul, and just allow it to get whatever it wants here in this world? Or am I going to find inside of me the ratzon? Now, your real inner will would like to live a higher life. Your real inner will is much more related to the neshama and what we call yetzer tov, the good inclination, than to the lowlier drives that are down here. So, as much as you are connected or in tune or aware of what your ratzon, your real inner desire wants, that will be the battle that goes on over here. Are you going to allow the neshama to draw you in this direction, meaning going up, or are you going to allow the nefesh and the body to pull you down? So he writes these important words, Hamenatseach, whichever one wins, Hu sheyagdias adam, that's what will define who the person is. Am I a person who's striving and cleaving for a higher realm of existence? Or am I just complacent down here with what's going on down in this world? The talich hamachshava, and the thought process of a person, so this conscious awareness is the place, he writes, where any real ideas of the person are kind of born out from. But and then whatever the source of your thoughts are, it's supposed to bring you to some kind of an action. So first you have a thought, then the thought has to make its way into the world of asiyah, to the world of action, and then the action that you will do based upon that thought will create the actions, the way in which you're going to act here in this world. I mean, we're not supposed to act just instinctually. We're not supposed to act just because, well, that's what we do. Meaning, an act that a person does that has real value to it is going to be something that has a source to that thought. And the source, the thought then itself, is a motivating factor to the actions that I'm now doing here in this world. So that he writes, so this what he calls the seat of will is the tool that a person has to think, sheikel, to weigh things out, sheifet, to judge things, umachlet, to make a real decision. Kan mizgareres toda atzmis, the real knowledge of a person's self lives over here. Meaning, if you have real, again, he's talking about deep, very deep levels of a person being able to understand themselves, but if you have real self-knowledge, you understand what it is that you really, really, really want. Again, what you really, really want is getting deeper and deeper and deeper into the spiritual greatness that you have inside of you. So then your decisions that you're making are not going to be influenced by or pushed away by the outside references or influences that are there, because when a person is secure in understanding who they are, so then they could just make the decision that is going to be aligned with their ultimate will, of which is the definition of the essence of who they are. It's a high level, he's saying over here, but that's really the goal is that we're working hard to try to achieve these things.
It's a struggle with every decision.
Again, whatever would be a decision, which we still haven't defined, meaning how do you know when you're actually making a decision in life? I mean, it could...
Time you know whether it's a good decision or
well, it could be that a lot of the things that we do in our life, not really such a decision. Most of us are doing things in our lives on a daily basis that we've been doing for 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years. We just do it. So, when you woke up this morning, did you decide to wake up? Baruch Hashem, you woke up this morning. You got out of bed. Did you actually decide to get out of bed? So maybe now that you're retired, so it's a little bit more of a struggle to have to get out of bed. Now, at 7 o'clock, there's no office that's calling your name that you have to crawl out of bed at 7 o'clock. But all the years that you were working, when you had to be in the office at 8 o'clock in the morning or 9 o'clock in the morning, there wasn't really much of a choice that you had. When the alarm went off, you had to get out of bed. Because you know that if you walk in late too many days in a row, the boss is not going to be happy with you. And even if you are the boss, you know it doesn't work. You can't walk in late every single day. The other workers that are coming at 8 o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, it just doesn't work. So there are certain things that we do in our life that we are conditioned to do already.
Yes, but that condition could be against something more spiritual that you should be doing. You know, hey, I got to get to work. Maybe I don't have enough time to do all the proper prayers.
That's correct. So you're right. So right.
I have to make a decision.
But right. But then at the same token, if I decided in my life to forfeit the spiritual for the financial, so then I already made. I made that choice. I could have made that choice 20 years ago. So
that's what I'm saying. There's
right.
a struggle with every choice.
But the question is, when is that struggle apparent? That struggle might only be apparent in the very beginning of the decision-making process. And I already struggled 20 years ago. It's no longer a struggle for me. Meaning,
it's an everyday same decision.
Well,
you can never get away from that.
You could, if you make up your mind to get away from that.
Because knowingly you're doing the wrong decision.
But again, most people who are doing the wrong thing justify themselves doing the wrong thing because I'm not doing the wrong thing. If I was doing the wrong thing, I wouldn't do it, right? Well, if I was doing the wrong thing, I would not do the wrong thing because I wanted the right thing. So but even in the spiritual realm, if I know that what I'm doing spiritually is the wrong thing, I can't live with myself. So I tell myself, well, I'm not doing the wrong thing. I'm doing the right thing. And I have a good reason why. So, my livelihood depends upon it. All the different excuses that we give to ourselves. So, therefore, at the end of the day, I can look back and I can breathe easy. I didn't do the wrong thing today. I did the right thing. I didn't do this, and this, and this. Well, for me, that's the right thing. Now, maybe you're right. Maybe it is for you is the right thing. We don't know yet. So we're going to have to, as we go through this, try to figure out at what point did a person really have that challenge of trying to get in contact with the real roots and the real desire they had inside of themselves, and they either overcame the inertia that's the body's pulling down, and they made a decision to go in that direction, or not. Lamila ratzon, so he says like that, the word ratzon, which is this desire that a person has inside, the gematria, every letter in the Hebrew language has a numerical value. And the sages learn out many things from the numerical value of one word, how it could be related to another word with the same exact numerical value. So he's saying that the numerical value of the word ratzon is the same one, makor, the same numerical value as makor, which means source. V'chein im shemai ha-makor harishon. So, and he says that even Shemai, which is Hashem's name, which is the ultimate source of this world, Hashem is the ultimate source of this world, that's also the same numerical value. So your desire and the Makor source, which we'll see what it means over here, and Shema, God's name, it's all the same numerical value, which means that they're all interconnected. So he says that all things in the world depend, he's quoting the Zohar over here, everything in the world depends upon one thing. Depends upon Ratzon. What is your desire? What is your will to do such a thing? Everything, the source of everything he's saying. The reason that the word source and the reason the word Ratzon, will, is the same numerical value is because the source of everything that's going to happen in your life and really everything you see in the world, it all depends upon Ratzon, upon will. Hakol Maschuk, and everything starts over here. Zeh Shorish Habriya. That's the root and the beginning of the entire creation. Meaning the whole creation itself Hashem must have had a ratzon, he must have had a desire, a will of why it is that he created the world. And we've been saying that one of the things that aligns us with Hashem is through our free will. We then also become the creators, we're able to create ourselves. So just like God had a desire, some kind of a will to create this world, which is why he did it, so too a person who wants to create themselves, wants to make themselves into a better person, has to be very deeply rooted in their ratzon, in their will as well. Okay, stop here.